Okay, we're getting ready for a big road trip out of Alaska to the lower 48. So we're going to do a little preparation on the Jaguar XJ6. In Alaska, we have Z tags. So if a car's older than 7 years old, you can get Z tags. So it's a lifetime registration on the car. So as long as I own the car, it's registered and I don't have to re-register it. Can do the same with trailers. So here I'm looking up some specifics in the service manual and owner's manual. Make sure I get the right lubricants, the right specifications. Grab some hose clamps, get some oils, and the main thing is some tire plugs for the Alcan. So if I do have tire problems, I can take care of it, or if I come across them, I can help them. Hey, there's another Jaguar. That's a pretty unique sighting in Fairbanks. That's a Jaguar SUV. We happened to see it as we were going downtown. And so I figured, oh, better get a picture of that. This is us just driving down Airport Way. We're gathering a few parts, getting ready to do service that evening, get ready for the road trip. Make sure everything's running good.
I also like to see if they have some LED.
Okay, we're going to put the car up on ramps and then do a service on it. We've had these ramps longer than we've had the car, but my dad always used these ramps with this car, and so I'm following the same tradition and doing the same pattern that we've always done. On his concrete, we had to do some blocking because it was so smooth that they would slide in these areas.
Just a lot of preventative maintenance makes cars last a heck of a lot longer. This here is 40 years, and just got to keep up. Keep a little book, keep a log, so you know what maintenance you've done. Keep after it. Runs pretty good for 40 years old. Jaguar inline 6-cylinder, fuel injected on this year, but it's run really well. We had to replace the speedometer about 59,000 miles. Probably my fault. Trying to use the whole range of the speedometer. So, but anyway. To show how handy notes are, and not only did my dad make sure we kept track of parts, keep track of when we do maintenance and oil changes, but I went to make some extra keys, and my dad had written down the codes for each key. I go to the locksmith here in Fairbanks, not figuring they'd have any key blank or anything for a 1980s Jaguar. They could tell from the coding that I gave them from the book, told them what blank to use and told them the coding to use, and doggone it if they couldn't make me an ignition key and a door key. That was pretty amazing. So that type of diligence, writing down the codes when you had them in the manual, whenever we needed to do the keys, we had the codes right there. So pretty handy. This is oil filter marked for Jaguar. I'm sure they had some other company making them, but they might as well use what they recommend.
Mr. Tilley.
Doing an oil change on the Jaguar XJ6. It's British and it's 40 years old, so it tends to have a little weeps. So I'm cleaning things up, getting ready for the big road trip.
Goose.
Okay, I'm a little dirty, but I'm trying to show everybody that cars last a long time with maintenance and taking care of them. But in our family, everything gets a lifetime contract, even this funnel. I've been using this funnel since I was probably 10 years old, filling a lawnmower with gasoline. 15 to 20 lawns a week, same darn funnel still works. I don't know if the new funnels last as long as these, but it gets a lifetime contract in our family. But take care of your stuff and it'll last. Thanks. Working on oil change. They now come in these bigger canisters. Funny thing is, in my dad's toolbox, we still have the punch through for the old circular cans. They haven't used those in a long time. And it's harder to find, you know, most everybody's going to synthetic oils and stuff like that, but hey, can you argue with something that's been running for 40 years? So yeah, you don't want to change midstream. It's been working this long, let's just stay with it. See you. Okay, these are old oil can spouts that you just take a round can and puncture it in, and then you're able to pour it into the car. The younger generations may have never seen any of these, but the old circular oil cans, you'd punch them in and pour them into the car. Well, we had a family friend that punctured some into some old cans, poured it into his car at 25, 30 below, and the oil had been sitting so long that it separated, and some of the lights were separated from the heavies in the oil, older oil. But anyway, poured it in his engine and spilled some on the manifold, on the exhaust manifold, and it lit fire, and it burned the hair and the eyebrows off his face. So thank goodness we have newer oils. Okay, the big containers where I live come out to be about $30 for 5 quarts. So as $6 a quart. The 1 quart containers cost $9.49 a quart. So it's much better to use the bigger ones, but the small ones sure are handy and portable. So I usually get a couple to take along on the road trip if you ever need to add on a little bit of oil. Doesn't take long to change your oil, doesn't take long to check your oil. Older cars, check the oil often, and when you fill the gas, and it'll last a long time. Grease is probably grease, but we tend to look up in the service manual, tells you the specific type of grease. This is lithium general multi-purpose lithium grease. But rather than change greases in midstream, just try to be consistent and stay with the same grease. But lubricate often. I mean, on our gravel roads and dirt environment up here in Alaska, grease is your friend. So that's just how we keep our cars. You just keep up with your oil changes and your greases. Thanks. Okay, it's summer in Alaska. It's 9:10 p.m. So this is what our daylight is. Turning wrenches. I do have overalls. My dad used to have us wear overalls, but it ends up I start some little project and it adds on to another thing and I get dirty. My family says I get a little bit grimy, but it's just because one thing extends to another, and I'm wearing my work clothes, but not my dress up clothes. But anyway, working on a British car, it tends to leak, it tends to have some weeps. So I cleaned up the underside a little bit with some rags and caught some myself. But take care of your car, and we'll see you on the road.